And so my mother would tell me, you are the reason as to we are suffering.
Oh no.
We don't have anything because you pretend so much, you want to stay in the hospital, that's why we don't have anything. You've drained us, everything. And I wish you are dead because you are just a loss. I regret why I have you. I go to school and I start now feeling uncomfortable with my private parts, and I tell the school nurse. She takes me out for a checkup and I turn out to have syphilis.
What?
I decided to walk out. The next morning my mother told me, I'm not giving you fare to go anywhere. That is the end of your education. So you have 3 options. You can stay here and do what this man says. You can opt to go to streets and become a prostitute as you are, or you can be a house girl. I chose to be a house girl.
Yeah, it's better that.
That is how I became a house girl. That's how my studies stopped.
Greetings, Tuko family. My name is Liliash and welcome to yet another episode of Tuko Talks. Today I'm in a very beautiful, cute space, but it may be cute to us who are seeing it, but my guest today has been in a lot of pain. It could be physically, yes, she's not well, but more of it is mental and emotional. She's been in a space where growing up, she has been disowned by her own people. She lives in a house where nobody likes her and people sideline her because she is what they call special. She's had a few, issues with illness and sickness, and she needed something special, be it a special diet, be it some special medication. And so her family thought, you're taking too much of us. We've sold too much to accommodate you. And that hurt her from a young age. She explains, and when she talked to me, she told me a very young age. And so I said, we need to listen to this story. And not only listen, but as we always say, at the end, be a small form of therapy where she can lift herself and tell the story. And also at the end of it, you can be a form of help to her in any way possible that she will seek her help. So I will just give Mercy the opportunity to introduce herself and we go on with the story. So let's just listen, and like I always say, let's be the help that they need.
My name is Mercy Jacob, and I was born and raised in 2 counties, Mombasa County and Makueni County, specifically in Kibwezi. I was born in a complete family with mother, father, and my siblings, but it was a broken family. Broken in that since I was born and afterwards my parents had issues.
Somewhere in the middle of their marriage?
Yes, ever since they got married, they always had issues that I'm not sure where they came from. So that is a family I really pushed that man to do things that he was not supposed to do.
Because you were carrying a lot, you had so much.
I was having so much.
Yeah.
I did not know how to deal with it. So I brought so much trouble in that relationship. So I said, I'm going to stab this guy and stab myself, and that will be the end. But before I would jump, he held my hand.
So you had not managed to
I did not manage. I suffered and I was taken to hospital, and the doctor said I needed unchecked blood transfusion, which was done. My father Jacob donated blood. But it would later turn out that he's not my father. Something that is not confirmed, is an allegation so far. So I was taken to hospital, I got blood transfusion, and that was not the end, that was the beginning of my health issues.
That was not your father, it's an allegation. At what point in your life did you hear this allegation that this could not be your father? And what was that story for you to be told, okay, Baba, when you look dhani, this is your father, it's not your father?
When I was 7 years old, that is when I started getting allegations. And at that young age, I had issues with my mother. She disliked me. Nothing I did excited her. And actually, she referred to me as a prostitute at that young age.
Why?
Anytime she would call me, she would tell me, kuja poe malaya, nikutume pale na pale. Like she referred to me as a prostitute. And at a young age, I never knew the meaning of a prostitute. When I was 7 years old is when I started seeking answers. I wanted to know the meaning and the origin of the name.
And why the hate?
And why the hate? Because my mother really hated me. I was punished for no reasons. considering that I was sick all the time, I could not do the duties that my age mates could do. And when I could not do anything, I was beaten up for that. An instance I remember, I was about 6, and she sent me to carry a water jerrycan, 2010. I was from the hospital and the hand was swollen. I had been transfused through here and the hand was swollen. So she expected me to lift that jerrycan, but I had no energy. Yeah. So I told her, Mom, I cannot, and she was very angry. At that time, she was sorting some mangoes, very huge. So she threw one at me and hit me here. I fall down. When I was screaming, it never bothered her. She continued until neighbors came and they were asking her, why do you hate this kid? If you don't like her, give her out. Donate her to any children's home, she'll be taken care of. But she told them, you can take her, she's just useless and a prostitute. Take her away. So I was really hated. She recruited my sisters too. In fact, my elder sister would claim I'm a thief because I got my blood from someone who was a thief. Oh. During this time, I was undergoing blood transfusion about 9 times, and that is before I turned 12.
That's a lot.
Sure. So there were no available donors most of the time, and we had to seek blood from anyone. And sometimes we had even to offer something for people to donate blood. And we would receive blood from random people.
Anyone, yeah.
And I remember one of my sister claiming that one of the blood I obtained was from a thief. And now, due to that, I'm a thief. Whenever something lost in the house, I was beaten up because I'm told I'm the thief of the house. Again, I noticed a slight difference between me and my siblings. The physical appearance, there is a slight difference. Like my cheeks are not shabby like them. And so they used to still say I got blood from someone who had very old genes, and as a result, I'm aging at a young age.
Oh my God, that is a lot for you.
I'm aging when my real age has not come. They all hated me. And I tend to think their hate was also the fact that I was sick all the time. The doctor advised on special diet to boost my immunity.
Yeah.
They said they can only manage any symptom that occurs because they don't get the exact thing I'm suffering from. So I was on special diet. Again, I'm affected by sun. Anytime I walk on the sun, my body swells, even now. So I was to have an umbrella all the time. And they thought my father was favoring me so much. And my mother told me, your father hates all of you and loves only mercy.
Oh no.
And they ganged up against me.
Yeah, that's poisoning them.
It's only my father who would defend me, and he was not always in the house. So my mother would beat and send me away out of the house and tell me, you'll be back here when your father comes. So many times I slept outside because my father was not living in our house. He was somewhere hustling. Again, when I was born, we had a few property. We had a hotel in Mombasa and Diani, and we had our land in Kibwezi. But the way I continued getting sick constantly, everything was sold. Oh. And we ended up in rental houses. And so my mother would tell me, you are the reason as to why we are suffering.
Oh no.
We don't have anything because you pretend so much. You want to stay in the hospital. That's why we don't have anything. You've drained us, everything. And I wish you were dead because you are just a loss. I regret why I have you.
So for her, every time she would look at you being sick, she would say, this is not you being sick, this is you pretending.
She said it is pretense because I want to live a high life. I want to have that special diet. I want to have that special treatment for my father. I'm an attention seeker and I'm not any sick. But the doctors would say she has this condition, let's treat it. Again, now I lacked iron and I used to crave for soil. So I would go outside in Ushago and start taking the soil from the trees and eating it. And I was beaten up for that. My father tried to explain. The doctor said I'm lacking minerals and I need some diet, some liver, some greens to balance that. But they never understood. They would all of them beat me up and tell me, today you are eating soil, so no food for you. Go to trees and eat soil today. Many times I ate soil when my father was not there.
You would sleep after eating soil?
I would eat soil until my stomach fills.
Oh no, that is...
And They would tell me, no food for you. You eat salt. You're trying to eat salt so that you draw your father's attention so that you get liver. But that was not the case. I was just feeling that desire to eat.
Yeah, I know
vegetables.
that. I know that. I understand that.
So I didn't have any connection with my siblings.
From ever since, on what number do you fall?
Number 4 from top, and I have other young siblings too.
Okay.
All of them, I never had any connection. And the one who follows me closely is 2 years younger than me, the one who caused me all this. She used to tell me my dental formula looks like that of a prostitute. My teeth, she would tell me it's true what our mother says. The way you open your mouth, the way you laugh, you're just a prostitute. And so I wanted to know first, if it is because I suffered and everything was sold, the family is suffering, I understand. But where does the name prostitute come from?
Yeah, I want to ask you why.
Why am I referred to as a prostitute?
Why they throw that name a lot?
Again, I had overheard my mother speaking to my neighbor. My neighbor had a kid who was not breastfeeding well. And I heard my mother say, I overheard from a far distance. She said Mercy did not breastfeed. And I got her none, so she has never tasted breast milk since she was born. And now this made me think I'm not her biological child. I would say now, if I was born in an hospital, maybe we got swapped as kids. Maybe she got the kid who did not belong to her, and her kid went to someone else, because the hate was beyond my understanding. But I grew up in that family. When I was 7 is when I wanted to get the real answers. I could not ask her because I could be beaten for that.
Of course, yeah.
I could not ask my elder sister, who was more than 15 years older. Actually, she hated me. I remember there is a day she was told to prepare porridge for me. And she prepared that porridge and added urine in it. Yes. I witnessed her add urine in the porridge.
Her urine?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I was lying, but still observing what is happening. So I asked her, why are you doing that? She told me, shut up. And then I kept quiet. After doing that, she told me, you have to take this porridge.
What?
I said, no way, why do you do that and expect me to take it? She said, you have no, so you either take it or I kill you.
Oh no.
And all of a sudden, she took a cooking stick and started hitting my head. She hit me until I was bled. And I had to take the porridge because I never wanted to die. So I took that porridge. But I think the urine did not affect me because nothing different happened. So when I was 7 years, I wanted answers. And I could only get them in my neighborhood. And there was an auntie who was very close to my mother. I tried to be close to her to get answers. And I got allegations that gave me some answers, although not fully. So I was told during one of the times when my parents were fighting, they had issues, like they disagreed completely, but my mother never moved out. She's the one who moved out all the time.
Yeah.
But this time she decided to stay there. So she stayed. They were not in communication. They were not sharing anything, even bedrooms, but they stayed there. And at that time, she decided to seek peace or love from someone else, who was a shopkeeper within that locality. By that time, we were in Makueni County. I'm told it is that association I was conceived. I was conceived. The pregnancy was still very young, and at that time, she realized that man was promiscuous. The one now she had decided to have an affair with, although she was still married. So she realized that that man was promiscuous, and that relationship ended, and she tried to mend affairs this side now with Jacob, who was brought me up. So when she was pregnant, Jacob did not realize that she's pregnant with someone else's child.
He thought it was his.
So I was born, and now the word prostitute is because I'm told my real father was a prostitute, was promiscuous. That's why when I was born, I was referred to as a prostitute. She disliked me because that affair did not materialize.
So she could see you and feel that hate for your alleged father.
Whenever she saw me, she had that pain that the affair never worked out, and I think maybe she didn't want to conceive in that affair. So I'm convinced that's why she hates me.
Because that could only be the thing that makes sense. Nothing else.
No
would.
DNA test that has been performed so far, but I'm convinced. The man alleged to be my father, I know him. I used to frequent his shop. I cannot really tell whether he's my father or not. In the village, I could hear we resemble. But he has never told me, Mercy, I'm your father. And the person I recognize as my father is Jacob. He really sacrificed a lot to see my life move. He was my only hope. That man did things I don't think there is another man can do, because there was a time I needed blood still. He had ulcers, the same thing I have now. And when he went to hospital, he was very weak, and they told him, we need blood. He told them, I cannot get blood anywhere. I don't have money to tip those who can give us blood. You can only get it from me. They told him, you are very weak, and if we get 2 units of blood, there is likelihood you'll not wake up. And he said, I've lived my life, so do whatever you can. Just take the blood and give it to her. If she survives and I don't, it's fine. That is what happened, and my father fainted for almost a day. He never woke up. He woke up after 1 day because he was weak. He was underweight, and that blood, 2 units were drawn out of him. So he did so much sacrifices for me.
And was Jacob aware of this story about your mother and the shopkeeper?
I'm convinced he was aware, but he was a very forgiving man. And maybe he did not want me to know that I'm not his biological child. Sometimes I feel like maybe he didn't know. But he died when I was 12. When I was about 14, not 12, after Form 4, after class 8. I feared telling him because I was afraid, how will he react? And again, sometimes I would think maybe he knows. So I decided to keep quiet. I don't know whether it was a mistake or not.
And what killed him? Was it because he was sick?
My father died of ulcers.
Oh no.
It advanced until a stage it was uncontrollable. And he passed on.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. So all through my life I was struggling with the family affairs. That the situation whereby no one likes you in your family. The situation whereby you are sick. Up until the time he died, my father took care of me. He ensured he went out of his way to give me what I needed to survive. In school, I turned out to be very brilliant. And I always topped up in all exams. He was very proud and he wanted me to study. And he encouraged me. Anytime I performed well, he would give me something. Not a lot, because we really didn't have. But he gifted me anything, a bag, anything just to motivate me.
Yeah.
My siblings were not they did not like studying. And there are those who went to colleges, there are those who also did not want anything to do with education. So like my father was convinced that I'm the one who is more into education, and he wanted to see me go to the farthest I can go. So I could attend schools, but not consistently, because most of the time I'm at home, I'm sick. And when I was in class 5, I was in a certain school in our neighborhood. I used to perform well. Once we lost everything, we moved from Mombasa to Makueni County, Kibwezi. So when this teacher realized I was performing well, she called me and told me, you seem to be bright, but you are never in school consistently. And I had to explain. I told her what I'm going through. I told her there are issues in my home that are really affecting me, and I'm unwell. Sometimes walking in the sun from and to school is hard for me.
It's affecting you. Yeah.
And she offered to, the husband was running another very big school, which was a boarding school. And she said, I'll talk to that man, and they'll accommodate me in that boarding school so that I'll not have to get
commute.
Yeah. And that is what happened. They offered to pay my fees, but my father was to support the other personal effects and books. But it was still hard to afford that because we are many in my family. And he was doing many jobs. He didn't have a job at this time. And again, he had ulcers, so he could not work all the time.
Yeah.
And my mother was staying at home. So I went to that school in class 6 up to class 7. I was performing well. In class 7, I was made the deputy head girl because I was also disciplined and the teachers liked me. All was well, but I did not clear class 8 there. Things happened, I became a house girl.
From class 7 to class 8?
Yeah. So what happened, my parents parted ways. And my father now remained in Kibwezi. My mother went to look for her own life in Mombasa. And during visitings, my father would come to see me. There was a time my mother came before they parted. But she vowed never to come again to see me.
In school now?
Yes, and what happened that day is that I hanged my father in front of her. And she found that, she said that was not right, and I'm not going to disrespect her in front of other people. But to me as a kid, even below 15 years, I was about 12 now that time, I didn't see a problem with hugging your father.
Yeah, that's the man you know as your father. You will hug him out of love.
Whenever people came to visit, the parents came to visit, I would see them hug their kids. But now I hugged my father and it became an issue. So when I went home after that, when we closed, I went home, I found stories all over that I sleep with my father.
Oh no.
Sure. I heard it from the neighborhood, that is the girl who sleeps with the father.
Oh, that's bad. And you're very young.
I was very young. My development has also been slow, so I didn't have the features that would identify me as a woman. I was still a kid. So I heard it from the neighborhood, that lady sleeps with the father. And I digged and found my mother said the way I hugged my father that time, it shows we have an affair. I let it sink. I had no way to deal with it. So back to the story. When I was in class 7, they parted. My mother went to Mombasa. I remained with my father. And my mother went to Mombasa with the youngest kid. So there were other 3 to take care of, or they were left under the care of my father. When we closed, now in class 7, I went and found that was the situation. And my father was really struggling. But I thought education is the key. I said I'll study and I'll help my father. So we did indexing exam when we landed now in class 8, we did indexing exam. It was somewhere March. I turned, well, I was index 1. And now in being a candidate class, we were to do exam every now and then. And before we could do an exam, I fall ill. I had malaria. And I got affected. My brain, I could not think properly. And I went home to get treated and then got back to school. That day I got back to school, the next day was an exam. I tried to plead with the class teacher, the one who was handling the exam, that they allow me to recover, but they told me to do it. The first paper was science and I scored 98. I missed one question. But in that school, if you are classified as bright, you are not supposed to miss anything.
100% is what they wanted.
You were to get 100. So I missed a question on plant insects. And that teacher really beat me up.
Oh no.
The teacher really beat me up with pointers. Pointers was a combination of when you take a bucket, you take that flexible handle. The teacher beat me up until I fainted. And when I woke up, I was at home. My father told me I was cold. I was told you fainted in school. So I took you to the hospital and I told the doctor you tend to have issues, and they told me they'll not give you any medication. They want you first to wake up and they'll administer medication. So I told my father I was beaten up and I'm not going back to that school. I felt so much traumatized. If I can score 98 and I'm being beaten like that, I felt traumatized.
And already you were sick before. So,
I was sick.
Yeah.
I came with medicines and they could see. They told me to do the exam. I scored 98 and I'm beaten up. So I said I'm not going to study again in that school. So when I went back to my father, that was March. Because we just done the indexing exam. He got me a school to study in the neighborhood, just a day school. By then my father was commuting using a smaller bicycle, and he told me to be using that bicycle to go to school and back. Remember, my mother left, and there are 3 siblings who are younger than me. So now I also had the burden of taking care of them after school. I'm still sick. That is now I developed ulcers, and I had to take care of them. I had to do their laundry,
to cook for them.
It was a lot, but there was nothing to do because my father was struggling to provide for us. He could not be available to do the other duties. So one night I received a call. My father had bought me a phone to communicate with him because we were not sleeping in the same place. He was sleeping elsewhere. And I identified that voice to be that of my mother. And she told me, "Mercy, how are you?" I said, "I'm fine." Before she went, we were not in good terms after that incident of my father hugging me.
Yeah.
But this time round, she called me and she was so soft on me. She told me, "I came to Mombasa and things are well. I would like you to bring the kids to me. Bring the kids to me, and then I'll give you, if I go back, you continue studying and you stay with your father." And I found it an idea because I said these kids were becoming
a burden.
Too much to me because I'm still studying, I'm a candidate, and I still have to take care of them. I take them to school, I do their laundry, I prepare their food. So I thought this is an idea. But I think I was too naive. I could have consulted my father because I did it without his knowledge. My mother sent me exact fare and I took all the kids to Mombasa. When we got there, the place I found, I was shocked because in short, she was working in a Mango. Mango is a local pub in Mombasa from Nazi. That's why she was working. And the place was not conducive because we had drunkards all over. They were dancing, insulting the way they behave. And our house was slightly behind that place. So I found that is why she stays, and I said, no problem, because tomorrow I'm being given fare to go to Kibwezi. But my siblings are going to grow in a very bad environment.
Yeah.
So that night, we cooked and we got into the house to sleep. It was a double room. And she slept in the innermost room, and then we were on the one supposed to be the sitting room, all of us, including the young kid. And that night I heard someone open the door from outside. He came in and he started undressing on the door. I witnessed him take off all the clothes, and I woke up and I started shouting. I was telling my mother, there's someone undressing outside. But funny enough, when she got up, she slapped me and told me, shut up. Is it the first time you're seeing a man naked?
Hi.
You are actually a prostitute.
Oh my God.
So like, you are not, there is nothing funny.
Overreacting, yeah.
Yeah, there is nothing funny. So you've seen many men naked, I know. So cool down. So she said, this is my man. And when he's drunk, he takes off his clothes. It's you to choose. If you want to sleep or you want to go, but he's here to stay. And I said, this is not allowed because I'm going tomorrow. This man would still come at night to touch me indecently. My mother did nothing.
That same night?
Yes, the same night he went to where they were sleeping and he came back when the lights were off. He tried to touch me. I could not shout. I knew I could be beaten up. Because when I screamed, when my mother came, she beat me up. Before she could explain that he's the man and I have to bear him. So I knew I would be beaten again. I decided to walk out. The next morning, my mother told me, I'm not giving you fare to go anywhere. That is the end of your education. So you have 3 options. You can stay here and do what this man says. You can opt to go to streets and become a prostitute as you are. Or you can be a house girl. I chose to be a house girl.
Yeah, it's better that.
That is how I became a house girl. That's how my studies stopped. I worked for the first 2 months and she could take money earlier before the month is over. She would take all the money. So when I'm done, I ask for my pay and I'm told your mother took all the money. There is nothing, so you just have to continue working. So it's like I got used to being a house girl. I knew I have registered for exams, but I said I'll be a house girl until I do my exam. So I got out of that place and sought another place. The time came for me to do KCPE. I traveled to Kibwezi, but I found my father very weak. Ulcers had taken a toll on him and there was no one to take care of him. No one at all.
Because everyone left.
Yeah, when my elder siblings grew up, they went to do their lives away. There was my uncle who was taking care of him, but he he has responsibilities. So most of the time my father was alone, and I found him in a very bad state. And I apologized. I told him I'm sorry for taking kids away. But he told me, Mercy, it's your mother who made you do so. So I said I'll do exam, go to Mombasa and see what I can do to help my father. Because when I was in course, he didn't tell me anything. We were not communicating. Because when I got to Mombasa, my mother took my phone away and sold it. So I didn't know how my father is doing.
How to get to him.
So I did the exam and went back to Mombasa. January is when my father passed. I traveled to go bury him. And during the burial, that day is when my calling letter to Saria Girls came. I had passed, but my father was not there. He had always wanted me to go to Saria Girls, study and get good marks.
Yeah.
But he was dead. And there was no time to mourn him because I was reporting to school in 2 days' time. So my uncle called a meeting and told people to contribute. Because as much as Saria Girls was free of charge,
there were some expenses.
We were to report with 10,000 for uniform and other expenses. We contributed some money to top up to make it 10,000. The one I was supposed to report with for uniforms and other expenses. But it wasn't enough because they had also contributed for the burial. And I had this relative of mine. He told me, Mercy, I'll help you. I have a friend of mine who's a politician. And I can tell him the need and he'll give you so much money that will be enough for your upkeep and even
education.
Yeah. But he told me under one condition, once you close schools, you have to stay with me. And I said, it's okay. So I was taken to Saria Girls and I started studying. I was unstable. I was always stressed up. And the issue of my father really affected me. I wanted him to see me success, but he died so early. So I studied, but I was ever stressed up. I attempted suicide severally because I was depressed. We closed school the first time. I went home, all was well with this relative.
The relative is a man?
Yes.
Okay.
The first time when we closed, all was well. And now we closed for the long holiday. I noticed something strange. When I went home, his wife was not there. I asked where the wife is and told me he left. And don't be afraid. He mentioned the kinship, so I'm your so-and-so, so I cannot do anything to you. This man was not in my life when I was growing. But this time now he was coming in as someone who is really ready to
be very close to you.
To be very close to me. And I accepted the closeness because I thought he's coming in for good.
To help, yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
He was in a position to help even when I was growing up, but he never
didn't.
helped. So I thought this time round he's changed and he's coming for good. So what would happen? I'll wake up in pain all the time. And I would oversleep. And I would wake up with a lot of pain from my lower part. And I would walk with difficulties because with time I started feeling like my stomach is swelling. Then he would ask me, what's wrong with you, Mercy? The way we are brought up, you don't mention some intimate details to a man. So I would tell him, my back is not well, my stomach is not well. He would bring me some pills and tell me, take these, you'll be fine. Little did he know it was family planning pills.
Oh.
Sure.
So, and why were you having these pains from the beginning?
So, I go to school and I start now feeling uncomfortable with my private parts, and I tell the school nurse. She takes me out for a checkup and I turn out to have syphilis.
What?
Yeah. And now the nurse was telling me syphilis is sexually transmitted.
Yes.
Do you have a man? I said, no, I've not had a boyfriend. I don't have a man at all. And she said, tell us the truth. It seems you have a man.
Because there's someone you're having sexual interactions with.
I denied, and they told me, Mercy, you just have to tell us the truth, although I got treated. But afterwards, I would connect dots. This man was raping me at night.
And you could not feel it?
He used to give me drugs to sleep. I used to oversleep.
Oh, that's what you meant when you said you were oversleeping.
Sure.
And you wake up and you're not feeling normal.
Sure. And I would wake up on changed bed sheets every time. So I tried to connect that he changes bed sheets. He makes me oversleep so that he can do whatever he wants to do to me.
Without your conscious?
Sure.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I've never woken up to find him doing something to me.
And you could never feel it also?
I wasn't feeling anything, but I would wake up with pains.
Pain.
Yeah.
So you know something is happening, but you just don't know what
But
it
remember,
is.
I had not experienced sex before, so I would not know what people feel.
And by this time, have you already started getting your periods?
No, I started very late.
Okay.
When I complained I'm having back problems, this guy could bring me pills to take, but I would later learn they were family planning pills. So he was giving me these pills so that I don't get pregnant.
But it's because you didn't know you had not started your periods. Yeah.
The rape issue affected me. I did not talk about it with anyone. I would not disclose to my mother, because I knew he would tell me, yes, he raped you because you took yourself there to be raped.
As she had already referred to you as prostitutes.
I knew she would not side with me in any way. So I kept quiet. Life went on. I cleared Form 4.
Sorry, Mercy. And at this point now we're in the hospital, and the teacher and the nurse is telling, and the nurse and the hospital are telling you have an STI, and they're asking you if you have a man. What was going through your mind at that point? And how are you feeling?
I felt like these people are playing with me, because as much as I've read biology, I know syphilis is sexually transmitted. I don't have sex.
And you know you don't have sex.
And I'm very sure I don't have sex. How could I have it? From where? Because sure I'm not having sex. Where is it coming from? But now when I'm back in school, that's why I'm trying to say the only man I've been in contact with is so-and-so. I've been oversleeping. I've been waking up on new bed sheets. I've had pains on my lower part of the body. So my mind is convinced that that man used to rape me at night. I had no way to deal with that pain. I accommodated it till I went to campus. I passed well. I went to campus, but by the time I'm joining campus, I had so much pain in me. I'm coming from a dysfunctional family. I've been rejected. No one wants to associate with me completely. I've been raped. I've not dealt with that, and now I get into campus. And now all the freedom to get a boyfriend is there. So I had my first boyfriend and things did not turn on well. We ended the relationship, and I can say I'm the one who was toxic in that relationship. I really pushed that man to do things that he was not supposed to do.
Because you were carrying a lot. You had so much.
I was having so much.
Yeah.
I did not know how to deal with it. So I brought so much trouble in that relationship, and there is a time I attempted to stab that man. Yeah.
You lived together?
I knew him, and within 1 week we had moved in. We were living as husband and wife, and we were serving couple girls. But I can confess I was toxic to that man. I was harboring so much in myself, I never knew how to deal with. And now, that time I wanted to stab him. He had this ex-girlfriend that they were having issues all the time, and I told him, leave that girl, and he didn't want to leave her. Again, he was a fan of football, Chelsea, and he was leaving me in the house at night every time. I wanted him to take me along with him, and it was an issue. So this time round, I decided, now you don't want to leave your ex-girlfriend, I think we need to die. I waited. He was coming from the washrooms, and he had gone to take shower. The shower rooms were outside. So I said, I'm going to stab this guy and stab myself, and that will be the end. So I attempted it. It failed.
By attempting means you stabbed?
Yes, he was a tall man. I didn't manage to stab him. He was very tall, and I said, I'm going to jump so that I stab him at the chest. But before I would jump, he held my hand.
So you had not managed to
I did not manage.
It.
And he said, Mercy, let's sort this. So he managed to force me to sleep, and he dressed up and told me, I'll stay here until we sort issues. But it's like now my mind came back now, and I was able to reason, and I said, no, we cannot live like this. I told him, let's end this. And that day we ended.
One day,
because I felt one day I'll do something to him, and I knew I was the problem.
Yeah.
As much as he was having issues with the girlfriend, the best I would have done is to walk out. I did a mistake again to move in with a man so fast, but I needed love. I was experiencing love for the first time, so I made that mistake to move in with him. I was about to make another mistake to kill someone. So I said, I'll not make that one. Let's end this affair.
Did he report to the police? Or
He never reported.
Okay.
But since that day we parted, we shared the few things we had in the house. And then I sent him away. I told him, by the time I would have got my own house, you took me in. So this time round, you leave.
I'll stay.
He left. When he left, I tried another relationship. It bounced. Now I landed in the hands of a gangster who abused me, and I said no. Let me turn it to drugs, and I got into weed.
By abuse, you mean physically or?
I mean smoking, bang, cigarettes.
No, I'm saying him. When you said your boyfriend
He used to beat me up.
Okay, sorry.
The second boyfriend used to beat me up for no reason, because he was abusing weed. I decided to part away with him, and I said I have to test this weed and know the feeling. And that's how towards the end of first year, that's how I landed in abusing drugs. And I began selling some of them. The school I was studying is not very far from where I am. And I landed in the hands of the askaris for so many times. But being a woman, they always told me to stop, although I had to give them money to release me, but I did not. It wasn't a good situation. I was studying, but engaging drugs, selling drugs, it was crazy.
That is a lot.
It was crazy. But I had not dealt with the real issue, my traumas.
There are a lot of traumas, yes.
The traumas that had accumulated over time, I hadn't healed. So I was trying to cover up. I cover it with a boyfriend, I cover it with drugs. It wasn't going away. I got saved when I was in third year. And I stopped abusing weed, and I was now abusing cigarettes only. And at that point, I was able to reason. And I said, I'll not do any drug, and I'll hustle to just keep my life moving. Because in campus, it's only help that supported my education. There was no one to assist. My mother, my other siblings were able, but no one assisted.
No one was there for you.
They blocked me actually. I would reach them, but they weren't reachable. So I became a hustler. I started hawking things in the campus, now foodstuffs. And I would sell, and that's how I supported my life now. Until I cleared campus. And when I cleared campus in Mombasa, there is a company that had done marketing for some time. The supervisor told me they could offer me an internship. All I needed is experience, because landing a job immediately from campus is not easy.
Yeah.
So I graduated in 2020, around November 29th, 28th. And this person had promised that we'll talk to the managers to offer me an internship. But I thought, where am I going to stay? I called this mother of mine, she's in Mombasa. I told her, allow me, I begged her, allow me to stay with you as I do an internship. It's not a job, I'm not sure whether I'll earn anything, just allow me to stay with you. And I'll do whatever job I can get, I'll do to support you. And she agreed.
Oh, okay.
And I packed a few things ahead. I sold my bed and mattress. I packed some things and I went to Mombasa. But when I reached a place, I slept the first day. And then the second day, I saw some 3 women coming. And they were walikuwa wanadai pesa. Then when I asked, I found that my mother had taken some money from them, from a group. about 20,000. And she told them, my daughter is coming and she has money. So when she comes, you come and demand your money.
Oh my God.
She told them, when my daughter comes from Nairobi, come and demand your money, she'll give you. But remember, I just cleared campus, I never had any money. So when I got there, my mother told me, yes, I have some debts, you have to settle them. I asked her, how? I've not been working, I'm just from campus.
I've just come, yeah.
She told me to settle her debts. But I had no money, so we had issues. After 2 days, she told the caretaker to throw me out because I've brought trouble, I'm not there to do anything to her. I was thrown out. Again, the person who was promised me the internship did not offer me the internship again. So I decided to come back to now where I was studying and try to start life again. A friend of mine was living in Kitengela, a girl. I explained to her everything, and she told me, come to Kitengela, stay with me for some time. I went to stay with her. Around January, I collected my certificate from school. At that time is when I got the job that I've been doing until I lost it. It was just by coincidence. My friend needed something from that office and I accompanied her. When I reached there, I heard them talk, they need an HR. I had done HR. I told them I've done HR, but I recently got my certificate. They told me, we'll employ you, but we'll give you 10,000. Well, it was unemployment at that time because I hadn't done the internship.
You had no experience.
Yes. But you can imagine 10,000 and life in Nairobi. And now this was in Moi Avenue. And my friend lives in Kitengela, the one who has accommodated me. So I had to move from Kitengela to Nairobi. I got a room in Shauri Moyo. So I survived on these 10,000 for about 3 months. And afterwards they would increase. They would increase up to 15,000. Life was tough. And these people, considering the fact that they took in when I had no job,
nothing, yeah.
And they took me when I had nothing, they sort of disrespect set in. It was a family company. So all of them, apart from me and another lady, were either cousins or sisters or in-laws.
They were family.
They were family, all of them. And after about 6 months of working there, this one of them was niece to the director. Could tell me, Mas, we've really worked on you. Look, was looking at my passport. This is how you came here. You are very dark. You are very thin. But nowadays you've earned a lot of money. You are even bleaching your skin. I don't bleach. You are getting fat. You are eating well. So you should thank us. We've really done a lot on you.
We've raised you from nothing to something.
From nothing. Another director would tell me, you should forever respect me because I took you when no one else could take you in. I was working for long hours. I opted to stay in Shauri Moyo because I was supposed to be in work at 6. And sometimes I would leave as late as 8 p.m. This money was not enough to even cater for my house and food. So I used to commute from Shauri Moyo to Moi Avenue and back every day. There are sometimes I complained that I'm working for so long hours. And she told me my office is private, it's not, I don't conform to any labor laws. And there are so many people who want job out there. So if you don't want to work, you would rather leave and I would replace you immediately. So I stayed in that job earning that low income because I had nothing to do. At that time I made applications. I applied so many organizations. But you find if it is an HR job, they need you to have experience, they need you to have professional courses, they need you to be a member of IHRM. So I did not get another job. I worked there. I can say I tried to persevere because I didn't have another job. My mother would call me from time to time and she would tell me I need 500, I need 1,000. Whenever I had, I could give. But if I didn't give, then we had issues.
That's a problem.
She could ask me then, what is the use of that education? It's better your brothers and sisters, they are doing well and they never studied. You just wasted your time. Because you are suffering, you studied, you have nothing. She would insult me. And at some time I decided to cut our communication completely. I changed my SIM cards. I don't know how she realized, and then she could still get back to me. I would help whenever I was in a position to. So this month around May, the sister who follows me called me and told me, Mercy, I'm really suffering and I need something to do. She has a kid. All along I've been trying to mend my relationship with my family members.
But no
I tried to make phone calls to connect with them. No one responds. Others have blocked me. I try to do good things to my mother to get close to her, but it does not work. So anytime these people need me, I'm there. Because I want to try to see if I can salvage this broken relationship. I want to establish the bond that has never been there. So this sister had not called me for almost a year. But all of a sudden she called me and told me, Mercy, I'm in trouble. I cannot feed my kid. I really need something to do. I told her at the moment I'm also struggling. But you come, I have a friend in Kamukunji, she runs a shop. And I'm sure she can employ you and you'll earn about 15,000 and you'll be able to take care of your kid, you'll stay with me. We made arrangements and she came to Nairobi, to my place. And I told her, you don't have to be alone today, let's go to where I work. And that's how my troubles began. Because when I took her there, I introduced her to my workmates who are relatives. And there is a story I'd done earlier on, pertaining my life and how I don't have a connection with my people in a certain YouTube channel. And one of them, this lady who used to question me a lot, had come across that video. So she was questioning her in relation to that video. Is it true you're not good terms with Mercy? Is it true your mother hates Mercy? And so many other things. And in a way, these people bonded and I became like the outsider.
The enemy.
They really became close. And my sister said I don't help at home. I don't give them anything. And this worker was telling her, it's true. Every time we pay Mercy, we actually pay a lot, but she dresses up. She looks good. And she doesn't have kids. So she's supposed to be helping you. But I was earning 18,000 in Nairobi. I have medicines to buy. I told you every time I'm on medication. Like right now I'm taking medicines for flu. Right now I have ulcers. I'm supposed to be taking medicine, but it is not there. I have hormone issues. You can see my face all over. And I have also so much pain all the time. So I have to keep on taking very strong painkillers. So you find every time I receive salary, like half of it goes to medicines. I cannot even afford to do a shopping in my house. I have to skip some meals. And if I was really earning a lot, I could not commute from Shauri Moyo to Moi Avenue and back. So this lady was telling her, we pay Mercy a lot of money. She should be taking care of all of you. And they really talked nasty things about me. And this sister of mine convinced these people that I'm irresponsible. And she told them that I've been a thief since I was a kid.
From the story of you being given blood.
From me receiving blood from a thief, she told them Mercy has been stealing, and if you want to have her here, you better be careful. She'll one day steal. So that day, the keys that I had keys to all rooms, they were taken from me. And a lot of stories continued circulating. And I was not allowed to enter some rooms because they said I'm going to steal if I enter. And now we were bordering another MCSK office. The story spread up to that office that this girl called Mercy steals. There is no evidence, and I can tell you that is these are claims made by my people just to hurt me. I don't have a criminal record. But she told these people I steal. And that's how they lost confidence in me. I had early on disclosed to her that this place I'm staying, I'm not earning well. And I'm trying to look for another job. So she told the manager, in fact, Mercy is looking for a job elsewhere. And the manager called me and told me, it's the time you leave because I realized you're looking for jobs. I realized your behavior is questionable. And this sister of mine turned against me, and now these people told her, don't go with your sister.
Stay here.
Stay here, we'll get you another job.
And that's how you were fired?
That's how I got fired. I was in Nairobi for about 4 months. I'm not working. I haven't been saving. I was in a merry-go-round. And with time, I could not keep up the way we keep on contributing and giving each member. So with time, I told those whom I had contributed for to just contribute for me in a similar manner. And last month is when they gave me whatever I had contributed. And I found life in Nairobi unbearable because I'm not working, yet I have to eat. Again, now the ulcers took a toll on me. If you have ulcers, you should not stay on an empty stomach. You have to eat as much as you can. But there was no food. I wasn't doing shopping. In fact, now the landlord came and told me, "Mas, you've overstayed in this place and you're not paying. Just leave." So I had this amount of money, and I tried to figure out life in Nairobi. I thought I'll not make it. Now that I learned the place I studied campus is within, I thought life in this area is going to be a bit better. And that's why I shifted all the way to here. I settled in this place. I'm about 1 month old now. And the little saving I had, I decided to open a shop 500 meters from here. The stock wasn't a lot, because in this place, if you need a shop, you pay 3 months in advance, and the room is costing 3,000. And I had to pay for this one, and I also paid for some cost to commute from Nairobi to here. So it's like I barely had nothing for stock. The little I had, I stocked braids and some refill perfumes. You find customers in a cosmetic shop, customers need to find a variety of things they can choose from. So considering the fact that whatever I'm selling is too low, I don't have many customers. Again, braids have no profit. The profit is very low. I'm new in the area. They are not used to me. So sometimes I don't sell at all. So what I do is to hawk the braids and the perfumes in this area, which is difficult because we have other cosmetic shops. And I've hawked almost everything. There is no stock left, yet I have to feed. I have to pay for this rent.
And your medication.
And my medication. Like right now, I need some medicine for ulcers. The cheapest is Allogen. It's affordable, but the moment I take it, it affects me. I get a lot of gas in my stomach. So at the moment, I cannot afford it. What I do is to take some Actos. I take several Actos. I dissolve them in water. I take. Again, I have a lot of heartburn after taking that. So like yesterday, I had 200. And I have this cold that is not leaving all the time. So I said, what will I buy? I said, let me buy maybe some medicine to cater for the cold. I have it there. I haven't bought for ulcers. My stomach is really burning. And then, for sure, I don't have food. As you can see, there is no food at all. Like, I've not had food since morning. My stomach is really burning. And I would really love to work. I'm hardworking, and despite what happened, if my sister hadn't gone to tarnish my name,
you'd still be working.
I could still be working. Yes, I was earning very low, but I could still be working.
Yeah.
I had something.
So as we sit here, Mercy, what is the one thing you would want for what we call at for family? We call ourselves a Tuko family. As we sit here, you have been through a lot of trauma from childhood to where you are now. Every stage in your life seems to be traumatic. And for you mentally, I'm sure it's not a good space. But as we sit here, you may have told me the story. You may have told people the story. I may have helped a bit in terms of someone has listened to you and someone has encouraged you that things are going to be okay. That the darkest, it's always the darkest before the dawn. But as we sit here, what do you require or what help do you seek from the family of Tuko?
Oh, right. My major concern has been my health issues. As much as I want to work, it becomes difficult because every day I wake up with a different symptom. Sometimes I have a severe headache. I cannot even go. I wake up with joint pains. I cannot walk. So if I got medical attention to first establish what I'm suffering from.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I have seen a gynecologist sometime, but considering that it's expensive, it didn't go far. So I don't really know what the gynecological issues I have. Yes, I have pains, but I don't know what it is exactly. So if I got medical attention, I would really appreciate.
To know what exactly the problem is, then we move from there.
Yeah, there is a hospital in Nairobi. I was asking them the cost of a full body scan. And she told me it's, from the way she estimated it, it's about 20,000 to get to know the real problem in me. So I don't need the money. If someone would just take me to a hospital and I get to know the reason, I would be glad. Again, I've been through counseling. Someone offered counseling services on pro bono. When I shared my story, the Starehe community connected with me. And they sold an old boy from Starehe who is also a psychologist. He offered counseling services for me for some time. I can say I felt better, but I'm still not okay. I still feel I have some things I have to deal with, and dealing with them alone is not easy. So if I got counseling services, I would appreciate. And again, sure, I have papers. I've worked. I have about 1 year, 8 months experience, but I'm jobless. I really need a job. I want to work hard for myself and make life at least better. I've been through a lot, and I would like a better ending. The same family members who hate me, I still want to change them. That mother who dislikes me, I still need to build her house because she's not living in a good condition now. And some things we cannot change. The relationship is not there, but I can still better her life. I don't want to keep on harboring her. I don't want to keep on having grudges. I forgave her. The only problem, I don't want us to keep that close connection, and I would still want to make her life better. So if I would get a job and be able to change her life and my life, I would really appreciate. Again, I'm passionate about beauty, and in Nairobi I've also been attending I've been going to a parlor to train on how to make nails, how to do manicures, how to do anything like for beauty, and I have some skills. So if I had capital, I would start that cosmetic, enlarge it, and have a beauty parlor to also create jobs for people. I'm getting to learn that those whom I graduated with, most have not gotten a job even since then. So if I got to enlarge that cosmetic and the beauty parlor, I would also employ some other people. I would have it as another source of income too. So for now, that is all I'm asking for.
Well, Mercy, one thing I would tell you, or I'd start by saying, is you have gone through a lot. And one thing I appreciate is that you still have the strength to keep going. Being sick constantly is something that I know, even mentally, it messes you up. Even I myself, I could get sick. If I have a cold today and the next day my stomach is paining and the next day I get so affected, I ask myself, what's going on? So I can imagine you being like that all through your life is a lot. And I'm very sorry for that. I'm sorry that you grew up in a space where you did not find love, where the only love you knew is of your father, and then again you get to hear this is not your father. So that already shakes you up. And when you think things are settling down, you get to a place where somebody who's a relative then comes and takes advantage of the help they're giving you and brings you down even worse. I'm very sorry for that. I'm sorry that also when you thought now life is getting even better, you have settled, you can be able to get your own, the person you call family comes and destroys it all for you. I'm very sorry for that. But my prayer here is that you may continue with that strength. And I've told you, sometimes we cannot understand it. We say it and we think it's normal to just say it's darkest before dawn. But really, Mercy, if you are a believer of God, then I can assure you it is darkest before the light comes. And I know the light is coming in your way. Because you are someone who wants the best for yourself. You had little money, but you said, I will not eat all this, I will start a business. That's not something everyone would think of. Yeah, so I'll tell you, don't give up, keep going. Even those braids that you're hawking, keep going at it. I know sometimes at this point the sun is completely hot, so it's difficult for you to walk around. But when you can, just do it. And one day you will sit down and tell me another story and say, I went through all that, but look at me now. And I know it will happen. One day your tears will come and be something good. All right, Mercy? Don't give up on life. All will be well. So as you've heard the story of Mercy, it's a very sad story, because when you start life, when you're a child, you don't know where you're going to be. You don't know who's going to be your mother, your father, your siblings. You don't know. You have no choice. But the only hope is that you will be in a loving family. For her, she did not experience that. In fact, from then up to date where she is, even when she's an older lady. And she's saying that it's painful. It hurts. It hurts when this is your mother. It hurts. This is your sister. It hurts. This is someone who you considered your relative but took advantage of you. It hurts even worse when your sister comes to just bring down every hard work that you've put in. I know there are many people out there who have the same story and think the same way and feel the same way. Well, we'll let Mercy give us her number. You can reach out to her as a counselor. You can reach out to her as a financier to help her, because she has ambitions, she has dreams. She's still very young, so she has a lot of life ahead of her. We can be the help that she needs. We can be the ones to stretch her life to become better, because that's why we are here, to be of help to one another. If someone cannot do it for themselves, then if we can, then we can. And that's my prayer to you today, and my plead to you today. Come through for Mercy. She's at a place where she's feeling all alone. In fact, where she lives here, she's alone. So you can imagine, you feel you're alone, and you're in a space where you're alone. Sometimes too much can get to you. We've had so many stories here of people going through mental breakdown, but we pray that's not Mercy's portion, and it will not be if we're there for her. So as we wind up, Mercy, you can just look at that camera, tell us your phone number and the name that appears.
Well, my number is 0719 462 402. The name is Mercy Jacob.
You can just repeat.
0719 462 402. The name Mercy Duluku Jacob.
Thank you very much, Mercy, and I pray that this story will change.
Thank you.
That we will do another story of victory, another story of hope, another story of the happiest moments, and we will be shedding tears, but tears of joy and not of sadness and pain, okay?
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for being with us throughout this whole episode of Tuko Talks. My name is Lilia, and until this time, do enjoy the rest of your time.